Hello and welcome back to Whence, a Freemasonic podcast featuring research papers and discussions related to Freemasonry. I'm your host, Robert Johnson, a York Rite Mason and Knight Templar. So I guess by now you all know that the podcast box has added us back in. If you missed it, they removed us for not being in a category. So now you can find the show under the education category in the podcast box application. Not much news to report this week. Some lodges are getting a good influx of new members over the winter, especially my lodge. I think men slow down a bit during the season and start to think about family and giving and being an all-around better gentleman. Maybe that's what pushes the influx this time of year. We have 2 first degrees this month in my lodge, which should be great. This will be the second and third time I will have been the senior deacon for those degrees. I received some great feedback on the paper I wrote entitled The Word. In fact, it opened a whole new area of research for myself when a brother told me he enjoyed the paper and to check out the subject known as cymatics. I did, and I have to say it's quite interesting. So thanks, brother, for sharing and opening up a new avenue for my studies to explore. I wanted to share a quick piece on the New Year celebration that I was mailed via the local Knights Templar home. It's short, but some neat information. Did you know the earliest recording of New Year celebration is believed to have been in Mesopotamia 2000 BC and was celebrated around the time of the vernal equinox in mid-March? The first time the New Year was celebrated on January 1st was in Rome in 153 BC. In fact, the month of January did not even exist until around 700 BC, when the second king of Rome, Numa Pontulus, added the months of January and February. The new year was the beginning of the civil year, the month that the 2 newly elected Roman consuls, the highest officials in Roman Republic, began their 1-year tenure. In 46 BC, Julius Caesar introduced a new solar-based calendar that was a vast improvement on the ancient Roman calendar, which was a lunar system that became widely inaccurate over the years. The Julian calendar decreed that the new year would occur on January 1st, and within the Roman world, January 1st became the consistently observed start of the new year. And for discussion this week, here is an article featured in the Knight Templar magazine, January 2012, number 1, entitled Hindrance to Light, a Freemason's Obstacle. Hindrance to Light, a Freemason's Obstacle, by Sir Knight Darrell Chapman. In the article Masonry, Aid or Hindrance to Light in September and October issues of 2010 Knight Templar magazine, the question of Freemasonry began a facilitation or an obstacle to light was addressed. Further, it was questioned if Masonic light was more than simple knowledge, and the lack of a clear definition was frustrating. When I first learned of the hypothesis, I assumed it was going to be another attempt to justify separation from symbolic Masonry by the higher degree Masons, especially because of where I discovered it. The answer to the question can only be reached by first defining light and determining the specific direction being traveled to achieve it. A simple answer can be given, and a complex one is equally correct, depending on the light seeker himself. Freemasonry is a medium in which a master mason navigates the natural laws of perceptible and veiled obstacles on a path to light. The amount of light that is achieved directly correlates to the distance traveled, the manner and vehicle in which he arrived, and what he wanted to discover, coupled together with additional unforeseeable, unveiling, and unraveling along the way. As the traveler becomes more enlightened, his definition of light can and will change. Therefore, we must seek more enlightenment, and failure to do so is a hindrance to light. A simple response can be that Masonic light can be defined as knowledge, experience, or comprehension. This light can be defined as common ritualistic functions of the fraternity. Further light on this path can be viewed as merely the facts of the preceding, current, or next degree, whether it is one in the craft, York, and Scottish rites, or allied degrees. As the newest entered apprentice Mason, one should remember where he was placed and why. It is also the beginning of illumination, one stone at a time. The inculcations within the Blue Lodge are instruments for building an internal spiritual temple. Its completion is vast and sublime accomplishment. However, there begins the next degree of light. Masonry does not give a concise roadmap to the ultimate light, as this is not its design. It does clearly put one on the correct path that leads to it, because in order to end, you must start with the aid of the great architect of the universe. The correct direction is the Holy Bible, and God is the ultimate light. This is a higher meaning of light. The higher meaning reveals that God is ultimate light. However, Freemasonry is full of symbolism that has dual meaning. Masonic light can have multiple specific meanings. Sometimes we Masons cannot see the forest because of the trees. Rosicrucianism, Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and alchemy, and philosophies that are distinguished by degrees with hidden mysteries and higher meanings. Rosicrucianism suggests that the basis for design is built on esoteric truths of the ancient past, which, concealed from the average man, provide insight into nature, the physical universe, and the spiritual realm. Western Christianity is no different. The Holy Bible tells us of God's divine light He gave to Moses when Moses requested God's name. Thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. We as Knights Templar should understand what God said His name was. He didn't give a proper name at a drop of a hat. We as Royal Archmasons discover it as we searched for further light. Freemasonry is no different. If it was so easy, everyone would possess all the knowledge, whether or not they were worthy. Moreover, there would be no reason for our fraternity to exist. Questioning whether or not the fraternity teaches more than basic knowledge is simply skimming the surface of the ultimate light. We should not be so presumptuous as to believe that all of the hidden mysteries of Freemasonry are so easily obtainable. One should remember the second sentence told to him when the door opened the second time as an entered apprentice candidate. A higher meaning can be quite simple. An example is that the sun simply rises in the east every day. It is one of the simple functions of our lives that are taken for granted. The sun rules and maintains all life forms on Earth. It governs our solar system. Therefore, it is not so simple. The sun is both simple and complex depending on what we are seeking to understand. It is relevant to one's perception within time and space. Therefore, I must believe that Masonic light is as simple as wisdom and intelligence, knowledge and understanding of our fraternity, and moral science. I also must believe that Masonic light is God and His Word contained in the volume of sacred law, bound together with spiritual embodiment to live in harmony with our temple, built in the 3 degrees. Then comes additional light for a Mason to seek. Freemasonry offers numerous functions that are available nearly 7 days a week, and the claim that it takes time away from the church and worship of God are unjustifiable. It is of our own free will that we choose to go. We are the hindrance, not Masonry. Freemasonry gives light and is readily available on different days and at different times, as everyone cannot go at the same time. It is available, not required. We are taught that knowledge is obtained by degrees. I believe that one seeks Masonic light from actively participating in the different functions, and that after all the knowledgeable light is obtained from them, one should move on to the next degree. You shouldn't have to attend every meeting after you obtained and retained all of the light therein. It becomes a social experience at that point. Therefore, more time is available for you to worship God at your church. The amount of knowledge one has received may be all he wants. If so, he does not have to seek more light, as he could work in the level of his knowledge. Ultimate light can be viewed differently from more than one specific time and space. Once we learn the knowledge, or light, of all the degrees leading to God or ultimate light, the end is not near. We plan in steps to achieve a goal, and it can take decades to achieve. When we finally accomplish the goal, another problem occurs. What we are going to do with it once we get it becomes the problem. There lies further light. For example, the followers of Western Christianity spend vast amounts of time praying for a lost soul to be saved. Let us say that the prayers are answered after 25 years by the lost receiving light. This would be a major blessing, and prayers well answered. Now, after 25 years of praying, what is next for the saved soul? Does it end? No. It is the beginning for the new Christian as he reaches spiritual salvation. Now the new Christian begins praying for other lost souls. The achievement of obtaining ultimate light is the starting point and another stepping degree for more light for each Christian. The great receiving gift of becoming saved ends one's travel and begins another. it doesn't mean that the whole process ends. One cannot say, well, I'm saved and saw the light, so I don't need God anymore. The medium of Freemasonry is a mode of traveling to ultimate light and beyond. It gets you there symbolically by different vehicles and can only be hindered by the navigating Freemason. This medium is ruled and guided by the volume of sacred law. Freemasonry is not a hindrance to light, but we can be a hindrance to Freemasonry and therefore light. I just simply believe that Masonic light can be defined as two separate entities, one plain fair and one complex of God. Masonic light illuminates differently from whenever one stands gazing upon it at a specific time and space with a certain degree of understanding. The everlasting search for more light and the reception of it places one closer and closer to God. I believe that light's highest meaning of all is closeness to God. Again, that's from the Knights Templar magazine, January 2012, number 1. And I have a friend that has repeatedly assured me he would like to join, however, not yet. I gave him that article because I believe it addresses issues he may have with the fraternity. I hope one day to be there at his raising, if he ever petitions. I'm sure there are a ton of brothers out there who have friends that are not Masons, and you wish they would ask so that you could share that with them. And also many have sons that have not yet expressed interest. I hope when my boys are old enough that they join, and I think they will because I let them see how happy it makes me and the difference we make as a fraternity, not just to my brethren or my town or state, but they see what we do for the world. So show them what we do, and show them how proud we are to be Freemasons. You never know. They might want to feel that proud too. This week's famous Freemason is Cecil Blount de Mille, August 12, 1881 to January 21, 1959. Director, producer, writer, and actor Cecil Blount de Mille formed an alliance with vaudeville musician Jesse L. Lasky and a glove salesman named Samuel Goldfish, later Goldwyn, called the Jesse L. Lasky Feature Play Company in 1913. In time, he would be called the founder of Hollywood, the world's greatest director, and the showman of showmen. A prodigious producer during the silent era, he continued to discover stars in the sound era such as Evelyn Keyes, Francesca Gall, Paulette Goddard, Gary Cooper, and Charlton Heston. He later appeared in front of the camera playing himself in Sunset Boulevard, Paramount 1950. He produced and directed The Greatest Show on Earth, Paramount 1952, winning an Academy Award for Best Picture. His remake of The Ten Commandments, Paramount 1956, his last film, was as big a hit as his original 1923 version. Initiated the Prince of Orange Lodge, number 16 in New York. Well, that's all for this week. As always, follow us on Twitter at Whence Came You. Find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/whencecameyu. And find us on Google Plus under the email address wcypodcast@gmail.com. Visit the website at www.wcypodcast.blogspot.com for links to apps for the show, merchandise, and other awesome Masonic blogs and information. Until next week, for Whence Came You, I'm Robert Johnson.